This hour, as 120-day social contract of President Mahama elapses today, will assess his fulfilled and unfulfilled achievements ahead of his much-anticipated address later tonight. Also, experts call for increased healthcare funding to improve access to quality medical services, particularly in underserved areas and for vulnerable populations. A lot later, all eyes are fixed on the Vatican City today as the sacred process of a papal conclave unfolds behind the walls of the Sistine Chapel. Hello there, it's good to have you here on Midweek Action, Wednesday to be specific, News Central here on TV3. I am Mawina Igbeta. It's a good time to be on the numbers because today marked exactly 120 days of President Mahama's administration. We're assessing the implementation progress of his 120-day social contract. With you watching at home, and today on By the Numbers, we evaluate the president's overall performance based on the 25 promises he made. But before we dive into the dashboard, let's take a look at some highlights of the promises he's already begun implementing, and we'll bring you details of that shortly. But let's try and begin to assess the 120 days of President John Mahama. What exactly has he been doing? Said quite a lot. The government is confident that they've performed creditably in this regard. Let's try and walk you through it and do it with me this afternoon as we try and walk through that 120-day promise and what really President Mahama has been fulfilling. But let's go in now and hear from the president as he's been fulfilling some of these promises. Let's take a listen to the president.
It is my honor and privilege to invite the minister and his colleagues to join me to unveil the logo and officially launch the National Apprenticeship Program. I thank you. May God bless our nation, Ghana.
E-levy bill. I'll proceed to sign it. Okay, I've just given assent to the repeal of the famous e-levy bill. Ladies and gentlemen, on this note, it is my honor and privilege to officially launch the National Sanitary Pad Distribution Program, a promise made and a promise kept.
Committed to ensuring that all who are concerned about education in Ghana have an opportunity to contribute meaningfully to shaping the policies and programs that will deliver the kind of education we all want. I'm gratified that this has become a reality, and I stand before you today to officially open the National Education Consultative Forum with great pleasure and a deep sense of purpose. Today we're launching more than just an initiative. We're launching hope. Hope for thousands of Ghanaians living with chronic diseases. Support from the fund will be based on formal applications, carefully vetted, and will focus on costs not currently covered under the NHIS. Ladies and gentlemen, we gather in thanks of the Independence Act to relaunch Black Star. I pledged to restore discipline, integrity, and accountability into our governance. Today, we're taking an important step towards fulfilling that promise with the official launch of the Code of Conduct for Political Appointees. Every layer of this initiative has been designed for scale and for sustainability. At community information centers across all metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies,
This decentralized approach ensures that no matter where you live, in the city or in a remote village, you will have access to the opportunity of the 1 million coders program.
And that's the president. He's been a busy man in the first 120 days. You've seen a number of the events that which he declared, amongst many things, that promised, fulfilled, delivered. Let's try and do that with you, watching at home or at work right now. Go through this dashboard right here and see if the president has fulfilled his promise to you. We're going to start first with appointing and submitting cabinet ministers within 14 days. That verdict has been out for quite a long time. That has been fulfilled, and so it's the first green mark tick for the president. Form the leanest and most efficient government within 90 days. We know that that's been fulfilled. In fact, he promised 60 ministers. He's done 55. There's no clear indication just as yet that the president will be announcing the additional 5 ministers just as yet. And so currently, 55 ministers, that's what he's been working with. And so that as well has been fulfilled. Establish a code of conduct for government officials. That's been fulfilled as well. I've read it. I've been reading through that code of conduct as well, which amongst many other things says that disclose conflict of interest, barring ministers from engaging in private business while holding government office, amongst many other things. In fact, informing the chief of staff receiving prior approval from the chief of staff before all foreign travels is a part of the code of conduct which has been launched by the government, details of which you can find on the presidency's website as well. Hold a national economic dialogue and develop homegrown policy. That was done at the Accra International Conference Center. That has well been ticked. Scrap hash taxes. I know you know that as well, because we saw the president lift that yellow document where he had, amongst many other things, signed it off, and then the e-levy was repealed. But in these hash taxes is the COVID levy, where there's been a clear communication from the government that it is going to be a part of a complex web of tax reforms which they are going to seek to do within the Ghana's tax net. And so that's one of the many things that is expected to be done as well. Review import taxes on industrial and agricultural equipment. That I know as well has been done. Prepare legal groundwork for the 24-hour economy. That as well done. Set up the Accelerated Export Development Council to boost export. We know that that's been done as well. Host a national conference on education reforms that was held in the Volta region, and so that as well has been ticked. In fact, we heard the president speak on one of that when we showed you what he's been doing as well. Implement no academic fee policy for first-year tertiary students as well. That's been done as well by the president. Introduce social intervention programs, free tertiary education for persons with disability, and then the Mahama cares. That's been taken care of as well. Distribute free sanitary pads to female students across the country. That as well has been done. Launch forensic audit into key corruption scandals. We know that the Attorney General has been providing details on a number of them as it continues as a now very famous National Signals Bureau one as well. And so that as well is been done. Ban political appointees from buying state assets. That's been captured in the Code of Conduct. If you read that document I was making reference to, that's been captured in the Code of Conduct as well. And so that's been ticked. Allocate seed money for the establishment of the Women's Development Bank. That's been taken care of, was announced by the Finance Minister when he was in Parliament to read the budget. Create jobs through a Jumera apprenticeship and 1 million coders program as well. That's been done. We're hovering around 64%. Scrap the ban on salvaged vehicle imports to support local artisans. That I'm yet to see an implementation on, and so that remains unfulfilled, but the day is yet to end, and so we'll still be on the lookout for what more the president will be doing before that all-important address at 8:30 p.m. today. Reform government scholarships to end political favoritism. That as well, we're waiting some work on ban illegal mining and launch environmental recovery initiatives. We've seen the Tree for Life, amongst many other things, the Blue Water Guards as well. They've come through, introduced Black Star Experience to boost tourism. The president has done that as well. It was an event in the night. That's where he recounted the famous scene between Lil Wayne and Van Vicker. And so, yes, that's been done as well. Paired security agencies of militia and vigilante element, not quite sure that's been done just as yet. Reopen investigations into major unresolved crimes that we got the indication has been done as well. Probe the Akosombo Dam spillage and its impact. That's been done. The Energy Minister, Dr. John Jinapong, in fact, inaugurated the committee to look into that. And so we know that's currently underway. Compensate flood victims was announced by the Finance Minister during the budget presentation. It captured in excess of 200 million cedis to these flood victims as well. And so we know that's been done. And then restructure loss-making state-owned enterprises. There was an entire forum organized by the president where KPIs have been handed out to all of the managing directors and CEOs of these respective state-owned enterprises with the caveat and the command that they ensure they do not post losses, amongst many other things. And so what's the percentage looking like? 88%. That's what it's looking like at this point in time. It's still a few more hours until the end of the day. But let's take you to the Ashanti regional capital right now, because my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar, he's been engaging residents on their assessment of the government 120-day social contract. Ibrahim, as always, thank you for joining us. Would it be fair to say that there isn't a lot of enthusiasm about the 120-day special contract in Kumasi, knowing that it's the base of the opposition New Patriotic Party? Tell us, what have you been finding out?
Well, Mauna, mixed reaction among residents here. Indeed, while some are of the view that the government has set the ball rolling, but been able to comply with over 90% of the 26 listed items on the 120-day social contract. Others too are indifferent. They do not see anything different going on. Indeed, you mentioned some of the items that the president has been able to fulfill. Talk about the Mahama care, talk about even launching of the Tree for Life, and also the blue water issues. But we still have issues relating to illegal mining. In fact, quite worrying issue, and day in, day out, we keep hearing of the springing up of new sites. And that is something that residents are hoping that the government tackles, because these issues played a critical role when it came to the decider in the 2024 election. And for that matter, they want to see enhanced improvements with regards to the issue of addressing illegal mining. But the issue of the withdrawal of the e-levy, the emission levy, the tax bag, people are happy, but they are saying that we still have the COVID levy that we are still paying for. And they are also expecting that within the immediate days, that should be revoked. We know today the 120 days. It's possible by the close of the day, some of the things will be tackled, but they say that they believe that government can do more and be able to improve the life of people. Others who are saying, like I said, they've not seen anything significant, even though we've seen the withdrawal of the COVID, the tax levy, or the e-levy, and also the betting tax. We are paying more for water and also electricity, which means that government has not been able to address anything significant, because those monies are going into utility tariff. And they, like I said, they want to see more to be done in the next coming days to make sure that we see an improvement in our lives and also that of the environment or the society. I engage with some few people with regards to what they make of the 120 days, and let's listen to what they've been sharing with me.
I'm having the Wayadi, Sans of the Sebo, e-levy, betting tax, omission taxes, in our year for petrol, so but this petrol is a drop, piano drop it. Until when it's all any say out there, Baba. You say our party, Baba.
I remember when they said, a TFS, no, BBA sign. For the Mama Casa and said, what's the betting task in our bay? we in so odi akura water bay ni large bay. He say they have to water bay ni large bay mama na duri. Eni asem ketua. Enti sabe ya say obe pam hu for say the oya dey. Obenya takra no antimi afam to there. Ene penam kwatre kwa.
And so different opinions, but what's been the propagation of some of these things by government spokesperson in the region? Have they been seeking to consciously push down the narrative that the government has done a good job in the first 120 days?
Well, they are saying that government has done well because, like I said, if you look at the 26 items on the 120-day social contract, even though we can say government has not been able to achieve 100% of the promise, but they believe that 90 plus is also an A plus, and for that matter, they are on course to making sure that they deliver on their promise. In fact, the engagement is being done on radio, on public fora, and also other platforms that they get, trying to push the narrative that yes, the mandate has been given to us, even though we've not been able to satisfy everything, but we still have a long way to do to be able to make sure that we deliver all the promises that we have. In fact, for the Ashanti region, beyond the 120 days, we know that people are fervently looking up to the completion of the Swami interchange, the completion of the second phase of the KJTR market, and also the Pro-Form market. In fact, for now, work is ongoing on the second phase of the market and also the Swami interchange. So at least that has brought some kind of relief on the part of government, and people are just hoping that this will continue and government wouldn't take its hands off these projects maybe in the months to come.
Ibrahim, as always, thank you very much for those details. That's my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar with details there from the Ashanti region. Let's take you to the home region of the president right now. That's the Savannah region, where Nadra Mohammed is my colleague. She's joining us with feedback as well on the president's performance thus far. Nadra, what have the residents there been telling you?
Yeah, so the residents have been engaging a few of them. And I can say with confidence that most of them are expressing their excitement because the Hajj money has been reduced. For them, that's one of their that was one of the major problems they have caused. A lot of people wanted to take their parents to visit the Holy Land, but because the money was very high, they couldn't. So most of them are happy that all these things have been reduced. And secondly, they talked about the betting tax, they talked about the e-levy. And they're happy that all these things has been reduced within the 120 days. So and they hope that they know that the president has done really well within these 120 days, but they are hoping for more. And some people also, their problem is that even though they acknowledge the fact that the president has able to keep up with his promises, but then the major problem they are saying or they are facing currently is that the water crisis, both in northern region and Savannah. The water crisis here is so challenging that that's one of their headaches. So they hope that this water situation will also be a thing of the past if the president should listen to their plight.
Nadra, thank you very much for those details. But let's hear from the residents right now from the Savannah region who've been speaking to my colleague Nadra Mohammed.
I see your mama has done well because of this market fare. They bring the fare down to 120 and it was very high. So because of that, we thank God and thank your mama.
I think he has done 80% of what he has promised. He promised us that he will reduce Mecca fare, and he reduced it. He promised us that the dollar will be stable. We are seeing that the dollar too is coming down. By God willing, we are praying that the dollar should go down up to even 5 cities. So I think so far what he did, he has done very well.
Our president did well. We appreciate. We wish that it should continue maybe 8 years or here because everybody is now okay. But the problem is just the water in Tamale. Everywhere we are suffering. That be my word.
From our president's region, we're taking you to the region of the vice president. That's the central region. To gauge the mood as well from the Thomas Khan is joining us right now. Thomas, any difference from what we've been hearing? Anything different from what we've been hearing from the Savannah region?
Well, Mauna, so what we are getting is just almost the same. For residents here in the central region, they are really enthused about the president's 120 days in office. For some of them, the abolition of the e-levy, essence tax remains one of the topmost achievements. But for some, they believe that when it comes to Galamsey, the president hasn't done more to mark, give him a good mark, and they want him to do more. And then the others who are also praising him for the introduction of the code of conduct, they say this is something that no president has really come out boldly to tell his appointees. So for President Mahama to bring that, this is a bold step, and they think that it's one of the things that is going to help his government and also change the governance system in this country. Right
then, Thomas, let's hear from these residents you've been engaging as well.
Impressive. For the first 120 days, he's been doing something, and I think the major issue surrounding, his first 100 days has to do with the Galamsey, and like he rightly said the other time, he's trying to do something about it. But quite apart from Galamsey issues, all the other promises he gave concerning e-levy, the betting tax, and all the others, Mahama case, and all the other promises he made. But actually, you've seen, some glimpses of whatever he promised Ghanaians. But I think Galamsey is the general issues and the main issue hitting him hard.
The first 120 days of the president so far has been interesting. It's the fact that he has abolished the e-levy, and once again to our NSS salary, our allowance to come so perfect. Even though it doesn't come every month, but at least he makes sure he pays us every 2 months.
So far, so good. My expectation to his government now, what I'm expecting for him to do for us is, with the Galamsey issue, I'm hoping that he will work very well towards it, as in abolishing it. He should involve the chiefs too in it. It will really help.
He's doing his best, considering the measures that he has put in place. One thing that I've loved that man so much is cancellation of the betting tax and other nuisance tax that he was talking about. And then recently he has launched the conduct for the appointees, of which I think is going to help them or shaping them in their activities. Previously, we were not having such conducts and other stuff for the appointees. So they were doing their things anyhow. But seeing what he's doing, I think he's doing well. And within this 120 days, he's doing marvelously well. Yeah.
That's the residents in the central region reacting essentially to the president's first 120 days. And look, you can go onto our social media handles, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever it is, YouTube as well, where this bulletin is live, and then let us know what you as well make of the president's 120 days. We've walked you through it. 88% scores, what MG Research has done, as I've done that with you. Let us know what you think as well. But that's it, by the way, or by the numbers. Let's bring you some other matters right now, and this time on our health forum. And following concerns raised about shortfalls in funding for health resources, the Deputy Chief Executive in charge of operations at the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Senanu Kwesi Jokoto, says uncapping the NHIL is expected to significantly boost budget, potentially exceeding 10 billion cedis. As a panelist on Media General's national dialogue on the state of health facilities in the country, Dr. Jokoto shared his perspectives about future directions.
Most of these public facilities have internally generated funding, but majority of the funding that they have to run their hospitals is from NHIA reimbursements. So anytime there's a shortfall in that, then they run into difficulties maintaining infrastructure and equipment because there's nothing in place. So if we pay realistic tariffs, we do regular reimbursements, then they are going to have access to more funding. His Excellency, the President, realized this gap. The NHIL has been capped for the past few years. When we say has been capped, that means the funding available for NHIA to reimburse these health facilities has a limit has been placed on it. So last year, 4 billion was available to NHIA. And then this year, it is projected that 10 billion would be available just by the commitment of the president to uncap the NHIL. How?
Let's stay on this forum still, because while some panelists on the National Forum on the state of our health facilities were of the view that healthcare facilities must prioritize internal revenue generation to supplement funding, others said the economy should rather be improved to help boost the efforts of hospitals to explore innovative ways to increase funds.
In fact, pressurizing the various hospitals to increase their IGF. And I believe they can do it. The reason why I'm saying this is that gloves, whatever they call them, medicines, when you go and you prescribe for the person to go and buy outside, you are losing revenue. And this is happening in most of our hospitals. Because NHIA will not reimburse you less than the cost price. Or even in such cases, there is a top-up payment that they do. So if you tell the people, go out, buy your medicine, go out, do your laboratory, go out, do that. These simple things that are done at hospitals.
Honorable, I want to say this. You see, it is every government's responsibility to provide public services, including health, education, and the rest. So when it comes to the public sector, the idea shouldn't be about making profits, but providing services. We must put people before profit, especially when it comes to public services.
No fight.
Please
understand the management and leadership of it.
Ask them to bring a book that has their bad debts. Their bad debts.
On the subject still, staffing deficiencies remain one of the most persistent challenges facing health facilities in Ghana. The acting registrar of the Health Facilities Regulatory Agency, HEFRA, Dr. Winfred Barr, he revealed, citing the 2025 data, that shows marginal progress but underscores the need for systemic solutions.
When you look at staffing, as you move to district hospitals, regional hospitals, staffing gets better. But at the lower levels, we have great shortfalls of staffing. Focal persons, so like I said, some of them, just a single midwife handling a place where you should have about 5 nurses handling. Okay? So those were some of the gaps we noticed. 59% lacked pharmacists. Some of them is the same nurses who dispense instead of getting technicians and the rest.
Well, staying on health, but only moving away from the health forum here, and the Renal unit has resumed dialysis services to patients after almost 2 weeks of a shutdown due to shortage of consumables. TV3 checks at the facility on Tuesday revealed that the patients are already being called and scheduled for their sessions. Here's a report by my colleague Sarah Appencroft.
According to the renal disease patients, they haven't had access to the unit for their dialysis sessions since Tuesday, April 29. But emergency services were in force. Close to 200 patients do their dialysis sessions at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. They were told there was shortage of consumables. This meant they had to resort to private facilities to get their dialysis done, which they claimed puts undue financial pressure.
This morning, when we came back trying to find out from them what exactly was going on, and we were informed that they are now going for a meeting to ascertain the situation of them. But I think after some hours, most of my patients started calling, they've been called to come back. And I think the unit is working now. As to whether it's going to continue or not, we are yet to find out how it's going to be. We just thank God that for about 2 weeks now, we've not had any bad news. But most of my patients are complaining. Some of them are saying they are bleeding through their nose.
President of the renal disease patients, Kojo Bafwa Hinkra, maintains they are unhappy with the recurrence of the situation, demanding answers.
In fact, personally, I was not expecting to hear some of these things again. Because I think last year, we had a lot of challenges of this thing. And I was hoping the authorities will set up on this issue. Because the question is, do you sit down to say the consumables are finished, you don't even have for the outpatient? It's neither here nor there. I mean, we don't take this excuse. We don't know what is going on, whether it's politics, whether it's real. Somebody needs to come and talk to us and tell us exactly what is going on. These are human lives.
Authorities of the hospital are, however, yet to make an official statement on the situation. Sarah Apenkru, TV3 News, Accra.
And you're still live here on News Central. We're going for our very first break. When we return, the circuit court here in Accra has put before individuals, he's granted them what? Were arrested for allegedly attempting to export cocaine out of the country. They've been granted some bail conditions. We'll get the details for you shortly. If you stay with us here on News Central, please to stay with us.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo?
Back here on News Central, let's take you to the country's courts. Because the Supreme Court has adjourned indefinitely the suit by Imani Africa and security analyst Professor Kwesi Enin challenging the authority of the president to terminate the appointment of heads of security agencies unless upon proven stated misconduct. The Apex Court was due to deliver its ruling today. Imani Africa and Professor Kwesi Enin, a security analyst, believe on proper interpretations of sections of the 1992 Constitution. The president has no authority to terminate the appointment of the IGP and head of security agencies unless upon proven stated misconduct or misbehavior. The suit filed in March of 2024 preceded the sacking of former IGP Dr. George Ekufu Dampare. Imani, we know earlier this year, sought to get the court to injunct the possible sacking of Dr. Dampare, but nonetheless, the president appointed a new IGP, Christian Tete Yehunu. The determination of the Apex Court would be a landmark ruling, as it has been the tradition in the Fourth Republic to see IGPs and heads of the various security agencies go whenever governments change hands. My colleague Lord Eduasare has been following that development for us. Lord is joining us from the Supreme Court right now. It will be interesting to know why the court could not deliver its judgment today. Lord has joined us via Zoom. Lord, is there an explanation as to why we looked forward to today, but there was no show? Lord, perhaps you might unmute for us briefly. All right, it does appear. Try and explain to us again, Lord, why it is the case that we could not get the much anticipated ruling today. No, I still cannot hear you. Unfortunately, I will have to try and establish the connection with my colleague, Lord Eduasare. We will work that connection because he will provide us details additionally on some other matters. But let's take a listen to some of the individuals on the Imani case who had reactions following the no-show. Lawyers from Imani.
There's a huge anticipation for this judgment. And I'm already getting calls. People are waiting to hear what they will say. We thought it should be ready by now. We suspect it's because of the suspension of the Chief Justice, who was the president of this panel. It's just a suspicion. We've not been giving any reasons. In fact, it was the court clerks who informed us that the matter has been adjourned sine die. What it means is that adjourned indefinitely, which is quite a bit surprising and disappointing to me, because a judgment which is a few months in the making could have been ready and maybe could have been delivered. It is true that the Chief Justice was the president of the panel, but she was not the only member of the panel. And in my dreams, I was hoping that she would have given her judgment and that it would have been delivered today. But wishes are not horses. So we've been told that it's been adjourned sine die. It's unfortunate because of how important this ruling is.
Right then, that's one of the lawyers of Imani Africa. But let's try one more time with Lord Eduasare. Lord, if you can hear me, we've heard that the Chief Justice, now suspended, was leading that panel, hence an indefinite suspension. What more have you been able to gather?
Right, Marina, with the suspension of Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, who was a member of the panel hearing this case, although it was due for ruling, what it essentially means is that there's a possibility that this panel will be reconstituted, and when that happens, the case could even have to start from scratch, and it will mean that everything that they have done so far will have to be restarted in the case that the panel is reconstituted. So as it stands now, we wait to see when the hearing notice will be given, and then this case by Imani Africa and then Professor Kwesi Enin will be heard regarding their challenge of the presidential powers to remove or appoint security heads, man.
Right then, Lord, thank you. But you're going to stay with us because we know that a circuit court has granted 4 persons who are arrested for allegedly attempting to export cocaine at the Swiss port terminal at the Kotoka International Airport, a 13 million cedis bail with 4 sureties. The 4, Gary Basoli, an artifact dealer at the art center, Josiah Beidou, Emmanuel Minten, Kwabna Ampofo Anti, all freight forwarders were arrested for allegedly attempting to export some 73 slabs of cocaine without a license. Walk us through it. You have the details as well. Lord, what were the arguments put forth? What more do we know?
Right, so a lawyer for the first accused person, Mr. Solly, he indicated to the court that he has been an art dealer for the past 30 years, and so he can be described as a trader mainly. Now, the lawyer told the court that he was contacted by 2 Dutchmen who bought 256 pieces of his art and wanted it exported. And so he packaged it, sent it to the company, which has to do with the 2nd to 4th accused person, the freight forwarders. And at the preliminary stage, on 17th April, the immigration officers and then court officials, they physically examined the items and passed it. But then they got a call on 23rd to come again, and this time it was scanned, and that was when the slabs were discovered, leading to their arrest. Now, the lawyer indicated that it cannot be the case that his clients can be held liable to it because in the interim, he had just done his bit by working on everything, and at the time that it was taken to the airport, it had been physically examined and no such thing was discovered. So he was making an argument that a bail should be granted to his client. The lawyer for the Harold and then the other 2 also made the same argument that they are simply freight forwarders. They did not have direct contact with the crates or the items, the art. All they had to do was examine and make sure that it's in good shape to be prepared to be exported using the Swiss port terminal. And so they also made the argument that because they had been in custody of the narcotics control this long, they needed to be granted bail, seeing that nothing has been put on them and nothing shows that they're going to interfere with the evidence of the investigators or the prosecution. They also made the arguments that as it is now, they have provided their proof of residence that they show that they are not flight risk and then will be available. But the prosecution disagreed. They actually vehemently opposed this bail application. They indicated that there was no proof to show that these persons, when released or granted bail, will come to court, seeing that, for example, although the NACOC officials went to a house which has been labeled as the house of Gariba Soli, they are still investigating to confirm that, said that they met a lady and children, and when they asked him in court, he indicated that that is his family. Now, the presiding judge in the matter, Sednam Awu Padam, indicated that the prosecution had not stated enough ground to show that the accused persons should still be in custody. And so she granted them the bail of 13 billion cedis with 4 sureties. Now, part of the details of the sureties is that one of the sureties should have a landed property which should cost about 1 million. The other person, the other 2 should be civil servants whose salary shouldn't be less than 5,000. Other orders also included that they should deposit their passports to the registry, that they should be prohibited from leaving the jurisdiction. There was actually an order to place them on a no-fly shortlist, and then their names be given to all the various ports of the Ghana Immigration Services, and that the prosecution has to order and then take the buried data and forward it to the Foreign Affairs Ministry, which is the passport office, and make sure that they do not attempt to make new passports and attempt to leave the jurisdiction, Marina. And so that is what it stands now for these persons who were arrested at the Swiss port terminal at the Kotoka International Airport regarding the cocaine bust. One thing that also came to light was the fact that from the valuation of the slabs, it came to the fore that the street value of each slab cost about 13,000 cedis. One slab cost 13,000 cedis. So the prosecution says they are still doing the investigations, and so when they are done, we'll see how they'll come through with their details of what they have come out so far.
Thank you very much, Lord. Quite extensive details that he's been sharing with us from the circuit court, where 13 million cedis bail has been granted with one surety. But we'll move away from matters relating to court. And Ghana's quest to revive its national career is gradually picking momentum as the task force to see to its establishment has been inaugurated. The task force, comprising former airport heads and sector ministers, will, among other things, finalize the business model and operational framework the national carrier is expected to carry. It will also coordinate engagement with potential strategic and technical partners, oversee regulatory compliance and certification processes, provide periodic reports and recommendations to the Office of the President as well. George Queenie has been at that particular area where work is being done on the national career. Quick thoughts from him right now. George, explain to us the timelines these individuals are expected to deliver on this mandate.
Thank you for having me. And of course, for most aviation experts, this is more like it's a time that I've been waiting for a long time. After years of being without a national career, this of course is good news. And it was a 10-member task force that was inaugurated. Like you rightly mentioned, it's made up of past heads of Airport Company Limited, technocrats, and former ministers of state in the transport sector. There's Joshua Mukhtari, part of the group. According to the minister, he's not going to rush this. So these task forces are supposed to give periodic recommendations and report to the president. Whatever they find, they have to report to the president. But a deadline was not given because the minister said he doesn't want to rush. But in the shortest possible time, it will be announcing to the good people of Ghana that we have a national career. And if you recall, during Leonardo's administration, there were reports that they're going to partner with Ethiopian Airlines and even of Ghana that we have a national career. And if you recall, during Leonardo's partner with Ethiopian to aviation on the continent. I posed this question to the minister whether we're going to consider or maybe consider from where the part of the insurance she left. He says no, we are not going to imitate any country. We are not going to copy from anyone. We actually had an airline that's Ghana Airways, and it was the pride of the continent. And so we are going to make sure that spirit is well lived. So on our own, we are going to revive Ghana Airways and also make sure that the hub of transport, be it maritime, aviation, will be in Ghana.
Right then, George, let's hear from the minister right now.
Sure.
In a short possible time, a national airline is announced to the good people of this country. We are not going to look at anybody. We are not going to imitate anybody. We are Ghana. And if it comes to airlines, you are aware that it was Ghana Airways that was flying within the sub-region and Africa. So we have our own standards. It has collapsed, and we are coming back. We are ourselves and we operate as Ghana. A task force has just been inaugurated, and I wouldn't want to jump to conclusions. At the end of the tunnel, we will see what the brand name will be, and Ghanaians will love it. That is our past. And we are prepared to do things differently. And we want to engage in this enterprise and engage in it very well with all the business sense that we will deploy. It will guide us in establishing and operating a functional national airline, not like it happened in the past. However, the past will be what will guide us. But we are going to consider all business models to use to establish this national airline. We have a task force that will periodically brief His Excellency the President through the ministry. And we wouldn't want to stampede them and give to them a kind of deadline or the extension to which they should operate. All that I can say is that that group of people, they have all it takes to be able to work around the scenes or behind the scenes, and this airline will be established.
You're so live here on News Central, just gone by the Transport Minister. We're going for another break. When we return, we're taking you out of the country where 133 cardinals are expected to go into conclave, where the selection of a new pope is beginning. It's a rise of a new dawn on the horizon. We'll get you the details if you stay with us here on News Central. Please sustain.
Oil and capsules are carefully formulated to give fast relief from pains associated.
Now, this afternoon, about 133 voting cardinals will cast their ballots to elect the new pontiff. If a cardinal receives more than 2/3 of the vote, we'll have a new pope. If not, voting will resume Thursday, when as many as 4 rounds of voting can occur. Let's take a look at the voting process.
This is the estimated number of Roman Catholics the world over: 27.4% in South America, 20.4% in Europe, 20% in Africa, 13.8% in Central America, 11% in Asia, and 6.6% in North America. The future of the Roman Catholic Church could lie in Africa, home to over 200 million Catholics. A new pope emerging from the continent would certainly be a historic moment for the Church for many, but this decision will be taken here in the Sistine Chapel.
Once they enter the Sistine Chapel, cardinals must have no communication with the outside world until a new pope is elected.
When the day comes for them to go into the conclave, they go in there, okay, each one dressed in a red, whatever type of thing. And then when they get in there, the last exhortation, the last preaching is done. Okay, a preacher is invited to again remind them about the gravity of the work ahead of them and all of that. When that preaching is done, each one goes up to swear, take an oath or express an oath that in the exercise ahead, he will express his position, not influenced by anybody or anything, but by his own mind and conscience.
To validly elect a new pope, a 2/3 majority of the electors present is required. If the total number of electors is not evenly divisible by 3, an additional vote is necessary. If voting begins on the afternoon of the first day, there will be only one ballot. On subsequent days, 2 ballots are held in the morning and 2 in the afternoon.
Each cardinal casts his vote on a simple card that says in Latin, "I elect a supreme pontiff," to which they add the name of their chosen candidate. If the conclave completes its 3rd day without reaching a decision, the cardinals may pause for a day of prayer. Outside the Sistine Chapel, the world will be watching for the smoke from the chimney. If the smoke is black, there will be another round of voting. White smoke signals that a new pope has been chosen.
Nobody proposes a name. So everybody comes and, goes to, each one goes one by one. You go, there's a formula you swear that you vote according to whatever type of thing, and then you put in the thing. So that way they count also those who are in there.
Okay. For many Roman Catholics, the choice of the next pope should not be about race, but rather about values and a man after God's own heart. In the coming days, all eyes will be on the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, which holds the signal of a new chapter of the Roman Catholic Church.
And it's something we'll all be looking out for. Many of you have shared your opinions, hoping and praying Cardinal Texan is elected, but like you've heard a lot of Roman Catholics say, they're expecting the selection to be done and inspired by the Holy Spirit. We wish them the very best and continue to monitor. But that's our bulletin for you this afternoon, which came to you from our studios here on the John Hammond Street. Always log on to 3news.com where you find a lot more details as the news comes by. I am Mawina Egbeta. Up next, the afternoon show.